David Thoreau. Was he a writer? He wrote Civil Disobedience. And he didn't like government? I don't know.
Who is Ralph Waldo Emerson?
Ralph Waldo Emerson was a philosopher of transcendentalism, and he influenced many writers such as Mark Twain. And David Thoreau kind of had the same ideas as him, and they were against slavery. And what was that thing we had to read? Ain't I a Woman, I think. No. What was the essay by Frederick Douglass? What was that called? Independence Day for a Negro. And they didn't like that because they said that how can my government be the same government of them because of how they're treated and stuff, so they didn't like slavery and stuff.
Alright.
That's all I know.
Thanks. How do you think that the writings between Emerson and Thoreau are similar by the knowledge you have of each of them?
Well, they both enjoyed nature a great deal, and they thought it was worthy of respect and was very, like, a preserver of a person's individuality. Like, if you spend too much time in society, you kind of become a member of society and not an individual. And I thought being in nature would preserve you as an individual.
Mm-hmm. Is that all I know about them being similar?
Well, they also had similar ideals. Being individualists, they didn't really have much fondness of society in general.
Alright, thank you very much. Walt Whitman, how do you believe that Emerson and Thoreau's philosophies compare to the writers of later literary periods?
I myself have been influenced by Henry and Ralph in my own works. This is why my poem, I Hear America Singing, is very similar to Ralph's writings called An American Scholar, because we both talk about the greatness of America. Ralph said in his speech, a nation of men will for the first time exist, because each believes himself inspired by the divine soul which also inspires all men. My writings and his are very similar because of our optimism of America and the greatness and its future holds. Thoreau, on the other hand, has wrote more about how our nation needs to change or correct its wrongs. For example, in his writings, Economy is about how he believes that he himself can go against the government. This includes him not even paying his own taxes, which goes against my writing completely. Besides my own writings, Mark Twain can also compare to Henry and Ralph. He very closely compares to Henry Thoreau because he wrote a parody of civil disobedience called Huckleberry Finn. They compare because they both talk about the topic of slavery in their own creative way, hinting to the same idea.
Thank you, Walt. Nathaniel Hawthorne, how do you think that the writings between Emerson and Thoreau are similar with the knowledge you have of each of them?
Well, I have read much of Emerson and Thoreau's writings, such as Nature, Essays First Series, and Essays Second Series, which are all written by Emerson. Thoreau wrote things such as Civil Disobedience, Night in the Moonlight, and Slavery in Massachusetts. A huge similarity between the writers is their tendency to talk about socially controversial topics. For example, a lecture from Emerson's Essays Second Series, called New England Reformers, was such a controversial piece that it was presented before Society and Armory Hall presentation. This is about the controversies of government, unity, individualism, and the right of every man. This is similar to Thoreau's Civil Disobedience, written in 1849, because he believed in individualism as well and talked a lot about the rights of men. Both are great men and believe that we all have rights, that our government should reflect that.
Thank you, Nathaniel.
Emily Dickinson, how did Emerson influence your writing?
Emerson influenced me greatly because when I was a young girl, a man named Benjamin Franklin Newton gave me a collection of Emerson's poetry, which began my love and inspiration for writing poetry. The idea became the biggest part of my literature.
And so how did Thoreau influence your writings then?
He was a great influence on how I would write, so much so that I even wrote a poem about him. The poem goes about like this. 'Twas fighting for his life he was, that sort accomplished well. The ordinance of vitality is frugal of its ball. It aims once, kills once, conquers once. There is no second war in the campaign inscrutable of the interior. The idea is that he was so headstrong and didn't allow outer influences to affect his writing and accomplished so much. The idea that I can accomplish anything I put my mind to came from him. In civil disobedience, Thoreau writes, "It has not the vitality and force of a single living man, for a single man cannot bend to his will." This to me is my inspiration to do in life what I wanted because it was my life and not the ones who surround me. This is why I spend so much time at my home, and that is what I want to do.
He very close. Blah 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 blah. We'll cut that part. Blah.
Just stop.
That's why that bottom part.
Just stop.
You messed it up, Mr. Lee.